All right, and we're back. The Wrestling Laureate podcast presented to you by the GSMC Podcasting Network. So let's do the rundown. We got, excuse me, sorry. We have segment one. We had the AEW review. Segment two was Thursday Night Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and TNA. And third, building up to it, is Ronda Rousey's comments on the WWE. So, Ronda Rousey has officially confirmed that she will never, ever, ever fight for the WWE once again. Of course, she had her, she had her reasons, but ultimately, Ronda Rousey will not be joining any kind of WrestleMania or any kind of Bash of Berlin or SummerSlam because she has viable reasons, but I don't know. I think just kind of the way she brings it to the I don't know. Ronda's beliefs were kind of really like super straightforward. Like she comes from UFC, where I think the crap talking game in UFC is like pretty good. It's pretty big. You kind of have to do that to like sell crowds and stuff like that. But she called wrestling, or just WWE in general, she called it like an SHIT show. It was oh man, like it's crazy because of so many other reasons, But she basically had this to say. She said, "They can't hold a sword over my head and hold my career hostage." And I get it. I get it. Like she sees the way that women were kind of portrayed or allegedly portrayed in the world of wrestling under Vince McMahon, under like basically oh man, there's a huge indictment going on, a huge court case, and usually I don't know, like I know I'm all about the news about wrestling, but I don't know, to be honest, I kind of don't like really sharing much of like something like that's negative, like you know what I mean. I don't know, like kind of like keeping us in like a really good mood, like talking about wrestling, talking about cool stuff that happens around the wrestling world, like someone coming back, or you know or an awesome like superstar does like awesome things for like a charity or something like that. But hey, sometimes there is a dark side of the ring, so sometimes we have to discuss it. So Ronda Rousey, she won the bronze medal in judo at the 2008 Summer Olympics. Obviously, before UFC, the moment she came onto UFC, she was absolutely a shining bright star. She was one of the biggest UFC stars, and she still is. Like, absolutely, she's like a staple in women's UFC fighting, and she was the first ever UFC women's bantamweight champ. So she can add that onto her illustrious accomplishments, which include her appearing at the 2018 Royal Rumble. She didn't necessarily fight, but when there was the winner, or she came out and her music played, the bad reputation, like, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Ronda Rousey!" Like that's sick. So I thought that she was a big deal when she came back on, and honestly, I kind of had high hopes for her. I thought she was going to be a lot better than I don't know, like she kind of came in, but moving on. So her accomplishments are: she's a two-time SmackDown Women's Champ, a one-time Raw Women's Champ. She's also a one-time Women's Tag Team Champion. She's won the Royal Rumble, and she was part of the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania, which included Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey. Kind of like a triple threat match. I remember watching that match, and I think Becky rolled up Ronda, and the way she pinned her, like her body wasn't really on top of her, like crossed, like you usually cover somebody for the pin. The way it kind of happened, it just seemed like so like I remember watching it with my wife, and we were like, "What just happened? Like, do you think that was planned, or do you think that was just like a like botched?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like the way it kind of went down was kind of weird, but all in all, you know, I thought it was It's wrestling. It's wrestling, guys. That's just how it's gonna be. Um, so after she took a break from wrestling, we didn't see her for a pretty long time. She was starting her family. She had her first child. She eventually returned to the WWE in 2022. She left the summer of 2023, and her last match was against a longtime friend, Shayna Baszler, at the SummerSlam of 2023, and Baszler winning. And you know what's weird? When I was watching that match, I remember, talking to somebody, and I was like hearing a lot of rumors about Ronda Rousey making her return back to the UFC, which she was planning on doing, but I don't think it's kind of, came. I think she wanted to do UFC 300 in April, but I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. But anyways, like the moment she beat Baszler, because everybody was expecting Ronda to win, and everybody was like, "Oh, okay, this is how Ronda's gonna spark her career again, and kind of be a women's world champion contender." But when Shayna Baszler won, I had speculation. I was like, "Hey, like I kind of read that Ronda Rousey's not, extending her contract, that she kind of wants to make a comeback to UFC." And everybody was like, "No, man, she's WWE for sure. She's WWE for sure." And I thought this was going to be kind of like a way to like propel her friend Shayna to like be like more like main event worthy. Like, you know what I mean? And so then I knew she was going to lose that match just because I saw that rumor online. And I was like, oh, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Shayna wins here. I think I was the only one at that SummerSlam watch party, and everybody was like, thought I was like tripping. They're like, "Hey, man, you must be high." I'm like, "No way, man. High off life, baby. Yeah." And hanging out with a couple buddies. We're barbecuing, having some drinks. But all in all, I don't know. I think that was a way for like kind of like a nice little goodbye for Rhonda to kind of help her friend Shayna Baszler, who is part of the wrestling industry and who has been, part of NXT around SmackDown for a pretty long time. So I don't know if that's the way she wants to go out. Like, to be honest, if I went out in my company and I had a chance to make my best friend, a coworker, look good, I'd want that for him. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, but I am a little concerned about why, if someone wants to make a comeback to the UFC, why would you trash WWE? Recently, WWE has merged with the UFC for the TKO, and essentially, like, I don't know, like you couldn't kind of put in like an X on your back, man. Like you're already talking crap about the company, but allegedly talking crap about the company. Well, no, not allegedly. It was like right there in plain sight. Like it's on every wrestling, news site. So check it out, man. Um, I like I said, to be honest, and these are my honest opinions about it. Um, Ronda, main event in WrestleMania, Raw champion, SmackDown champion, Royal Rumble winner, women's tag. She was kind of handed everything. Like, not handed everything because I'm not saying that she doesn't, like, try hard, and I don't want her finding out where I live and, like, beat the crap out of me. But, like, they gave her some of the main accomplishments that WWF and WWE has to offer. Like a Royal Rumble winner, two champion, like, she had it pretty big. She had it pretty nice. And I wonder what went wrong to the point where like she would feel comfortable to come out and kind of like say that about wrestling WWE kind of being a MS show, like, you know what I mean? And that and also another couple of critiques. And it's not like I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan. When she was on the screen, super cool to watch. It was cool to watch her matches because you automatically had a pre-assumption that Ronda was going to win. So when she lost, it was like super surprising, and that's what we as WWE fans kind of like to see, is like some like a shock value. I think that's everybody. I think that's why everybody watches you know like corny like horror movies. I know I'm a huge horror movie guy, but not like recently, because horror movies nowadays are like so predictable. Like, oh, she's gonna turn that corner, she's gonna totally trip. Or, dude, guess what? Like, the assassin or the killer is gonna randomly like just pop up, and like, I don't know. Like, I love corny Halloween movies though. Like, I like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. I wasn't really a huge Scream guy. I really wasn't. No, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Or Freddy Krueger. No, we're moving on. So I thought she was way too UFC for the WWE, if that makes sense. She was super UFC, like she would always come on her trash talking, like you felt like you were watching a UFC promo, not a WWE promo. Like she would just get like, and she would always like have to like curse them out and call them the B word and stuff like that, and get in their face. And it was just too UFC for me. I gotta be honest, it was too UFC for me. And I don't like watching the UFC, but there's a reason why you have the UFC fans, and there's the reason why you have the WWE fans. Like I know I'm a WWE fan because like I like the way the show is kind of structured. I like how it's not always like just punching and punching and punching and guys getting just like an eye like going this way and the other one going that way, or a note that's like but that's just me. Like I like watching violence, but more of like a organized, sophisticated way. No, but I don't know. Like I like watching WWE because it's WWE, not because it's the UFC. So that was one thing that kind of bothered me. Another thing was if you paid attention to a lot of her matches, like she would just botch moves so bad. She'd be throwing these poor, professionally trained women superstars like to the ground, where the point where like, dude, like it looked like that actually hurt. Like she turned a regular like scoop slam or like a fireman's carry or like a takedown into something that's like, oh my god, is that person okay? I don't think she like I don't know, like I think that there's kind of like an art form to wrestling. And as much as I like Ronda Rousey and much I respect her as an athlete, as a combatant sports, legend, um, I don't think she was good for that. She wasn't right. And usually when something's not right, you usually see it on the screen or you see it kind of blow up like it did you know, in this with her trashing the WWE. All right. So don't go anywhere. We have our last segment. We have Alicia Fox making a comeback to wrestling after she's been off the screen for so long. We're going to get a chance to see Foxy back on the screen. Obviously, Alicia Fox, she was a women's diva champion. She was like a manager kind of thing. I thought I was going to see a lot more of her kind of heading into like wrestling, but I don't know. Hey, we'll talk all about it. Don't go anywhere.